Hi, guys. Welcome to the That's Where I'm At podcast. Today I have Monica, and Monica is a mom of three. She spent most of her life feeling not good enough for any relations. Sexual and physical abuse and addiction kind of did that to her. And she's going to talk about that today. She's currently in recovery and will always support other women and love people where they are. And so I want to welcome to the show, Monica.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Monica. I'm so glad you're here. Monica and I just know each other from Facebook world, and she is I see her. She's spreading joy throughout the world with the things she does. And so I just really love that. And so we connected, and Monica, I wanted you to share your story. You and I had talked, and you guys, she has a great story of what trauma can do to you, and then where she's at and how she's recovering in this world after a lifetime of trauma. But so that sounds so sad and whatever, but let's talk
It
about it.
does. Well,
Yes.
of course, thanks for having me. I think it's very important for other people to hear your story because as I've learned over the years of telling bits and pieces on Facebook, that it inspires other people.
Yeah.
Maybe my story won't inspire this person, but it could inspire that other person.
Right.
So, like you said, I spent most of my life feeling I wasn't good enough, and that comes from my relationship with my mother.
Yeah.
Um, we grew up in a home of alcoholism, and we had cousins huffing in the back room, huffing spray paint or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up hearing fights if we were in the other room because that's where kids went. I grew up in the era where kids were seen and not heard. So
Yeah.
we went in another room and we'd play the album by Grease and reenact the movie.
All right.
Um, and the family, they would fight. That mean physical fights, knives come out.
Wow.
But at the same time, we would spend time together and we would have Easter egg hunts. And we didn't have the eggs, but they put them in Ziploc bags and hid them for us.
Oh.
So there's good memories there too. But,
Yeah.
that was the norm for me. I didn't live on a reservation. I am Native American. However, I did not live on a reservation. But I spent most of my years in South Dakota growing up. So, like I said, that was the norm. That was the norm for us. All that alcoholism, all that drinking.
I want to
I've
ask
seen.
you about that. And when you're saying it's the norm, was it the norm for your family, or do you feel like, because I know that there are some issues in the Native American community. So what are you saying when you're saying that was the norm?
That's what we saw. We didn't know any better because
Okay.
that's what we saw. That's what we were, learning as we grew up, that
Yes.
alcoholism was okay, that it
Okay.
was normal to fight and that was a normal part of our family, the way our family dealt with things.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, like I said,
Just get drunk and just
yeah.
or drugs or whatever and just deal with it
Yep.
that way. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. I've even seen my mother commit suicide. One time she stabbed herself and another time she was trying to overdose on pills. And another
Jeez.
time she had asked me to please drown her. She was trying to get me to drink some beer while she was in the tub and asked me to drown her.
Oh my gosh.
And
So I'm guessing that she's had some trauma then, of course,
oh yeah, of
that
course.
is
I'm sure I don't know what it is because
unhealed. Yeah.
we didn't talk about those things,
No, absolutely
you
not.
know. It was very I was traumatized from that.
Oh, I can imagine.
Knowing when my mom overdosed on those pills that it was, she almost died. If my best friend hadn't come to our house, I would have just left her sleeping there.
Right.
We had to go to foster homes a couple times, and she did. She sobered up, and then she met a man during that time. I did not know at the time, but that was her husband. In the end, it was her husband, and he, got sexual with me when I was
Okay.
like 10, 11 years old. So, fast forward a little bit, I got taken out of the home um, because of the abuse. One thing she
Mhm.
said to me is like, um, she slapped me in the face and said, "Go stand in the corner and make me money so I could pay my rent."
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I got taken out of the home because she was reported.
Right.
And I love my family. I was the other mother, you know what I mean? I was taking
Yes.
care of my brothers. I was, helping cook. I was the other mother so she could be the alcoholic. Well, when she decided not to be the alcoholic anymore and sober up, which is a good thing, um I don't know. She loved her husband. Like when I
Yeah.
was in group home and stuff and found out she was gonna move to Minnesota, I asked her why I couldn't go with, and she said, "Because he's my husband and you're just my daughter." And I'll never forget that. That's something I'll never forget. I was
Right.
like,
And that doesn't even make any sense. That's like that's not a reason. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
it's
that
not.
had to
It's
have
not a
been
reason.
that had to have been confusing and very rejecting.
It was, and that's where the I'll never be good enough because I spent know while my mother was alive, I spent so many years trying to be good enough and go home because I wanted to be with my brothers. I wanted to help take care of them. I wanted my family because
Yeah.
that's what I knew. And it was all ripped away from me. The
So she was so
sexual,
the brothers were there, but you had to leave?
yeah, yeah. I got after I went to that group home, I ended up in foster homes and stuff.
So sorry.
Like like you said, she had a lot of trauma. She didn't know better.
Right.
She wasn't given any tools to deal with life either. So, as much as I would like to blame her, I don't blame her. I've
Right,
forgiven and I've moved
exactly.
on for the things that happened. But that
Oh, you cut out. Hold on a second.
took me my full addiction to do that. It took me going to prison to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well, you had cut out, but hold on a second. You had cut out, but I think it's okay. So hold on one second. Okay, so we're gonna let's cut that part out because you're frozen. You were frozen for a second. Okay. So say the last part. You said it took you your full addiction. So say it from there. Oh yeah, your audio and your video are off. Your audio and
Okay, so
video.
it's my full addiction.
Yeah, you're kind of frozen there. You're frozen and then I don't know why. It was fine and then all of a sudden it stopped being fine. So I don't know what's happening. So hold on. I don't think it's me. Uh, yeah, you're frozen and you're kind of coming in and out. It's not staying stable anymore. I don't know what you were trying to do. Are you trying to change your Wi-Fi or something? Yeah. I don't have, yeah, it's weird. You don't have volume and then it'll come in for a second and then it goes back out. It's bad. It's a bad connection somewhere. You're going to try it on your phone? I don't know what you're doing. Oh, you're going to call me? What are you doing? I, d- I don't know what you're saying because I don't know if you can put it in the chat because I don't hear you at all. I don't know why I don't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, see, I heard you for a second, but I don't know. I don't know. You can put something in the chat if you want. Uh,
Did you? Okay. Hmm.
okay, so I
Okay.
hear you for a second, but okay, so now it seems okay. So now it seems okay. Did you do something different? Yes,
No, I didn't.
you're slightly off. Oh, you're gonna try on your phone?
Hmm.
I don't know what the difference would be.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay right now.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Am I? Well,
You're okay right
yeah, I can
now.
hear you.
Yeah, you're
Absolutely.
you're actually everything's fine right now.
Okay.
Everything's fine. Everything like so I don't know if
I
you
wonder what happened.
I don't know, it was just a bad connection for a minute because it was literally you were talking but your video was going like this and being all scrambly. Um
Really?
yeah, it
That's
was
horrible. I hate that.
I
I
know,
have
it
the
was really
only thing I
strange.
have open too. Let me make sure. Maybe let me make sure I have nothing underneath open. Oh,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah.
And are you on
Okay. Now
Wi-Fi?
let
I
me
mean,
pull
I
you
don't know
back
what.
up. There we go.
Okay.
I don't know. I have good Wi-Fi.
Okay, so it seems fine right now. So let's just keep trying if we can remember where we were. So
Okay.
gosh. Okay. I think you were saying
Yeah, I
about,
remember.
okay,
So
do remember. Okay. We'll try from here.
yeah. And that's where I got, spent most of my addiction, and until I went to prison, is I
Okay.
was that little girl who wanted her mother. all the
Yeah.
time, But not being good enough now in my life can still affect me. Not like it did before, but
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, why me? Why am I not good enough for this? Why? But until she
Right.
passed away, I just wanted to be good enough for her, and I wasn't. I
Okay.
wasn't. I was always, in relationships. I wasn't good enough. If my boyfriend cheated on me, it was because I wasn't good enough. I let
Okay.
that affect me for my entire life.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Okay. So then you went to, and then, so then you did some things, whatever, you went to prison.
yep, I did go to prison, and the reason I went to prison was because I had gotten caught with paraphernalia. They tested it and came back positive for methamphetamines, my
Okay.
drug of choice. It was my favorite. It was, and when I started it, it was fun. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as the longer I was in it, it was no longer fun. But I had gotten to court and they said I had to do the 24/7 program. And I had to be on probation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they put me on the 24/7 program, which means you got to go below into a tube early by 9 a.m. and then before 9 p.m.
Okay.
So I did that. But I went and blew at 6 p.m. that night. I went the next morning and I blew hot.
Okay.
And not that I was a drinker, but I was, that addict thinking, well, they're not going to tell me what to do, you know.
Right.
So I could quit the meth, but you know what I mean? I was like, okay, I could do that. But the drinking, I was like, they're not going to tell me what to do. And they sure did, because I don't remember how long I stayed in jail at the time because the program was still pretty new. I think I spent
Mhm.
about 30 days there for that. And then like 6 months later, I violated again. And that's when they sent me to prison for my uh, ingestion by possession.
Okay.
So in prison, I did treatment there also. I've done treatment
Ah,
many, many times. But treatment then, I was like, I don't care what these people in prison think of me. All these girls hate me. I don't care. I'm going to do what I do to get through
okay, hold on.
this
Because
because
it's,
I'm tired of being the addict. Getting
hold
sober.
on. It's breaking up again. I don't know why. It's so strange because it seems fine and then all of a sudden it breaks up. It's so ridiculous. Okay, hold on. Let's see if it's, I don't know, say something. See if it's still messing
Again,
up.
okay.
Yeah, it's
My cat
messing.
keeps bugging me.
Your cat, well, I mean, your cat's okay. I mean, I can't imagine your cat's causing any problems. Yeah, it's coming in and out. That's okay. We'll just keep trying. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's bothering me. No, I was just trying to think of something.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
really going like
So
the audio's way off. So that's the strange thing. The audio's way
um,
off.
do you want me to try my phone?
I mean,
You want me to
well,
try my phone?
you can if you want to, but what would be the difference, you think?
Okay.
I mean,
Because I have mobile
oh, okay, rather than
data.
Wi-Fi or whatever. Yeah,
I don't think it would cut out as much. We can try it.
yeah, that's fine. We can try that. Hold
Yeah.
on. Yeah, that's fine. That's
So I
not a
could go
big
find you
deal.
again.
Okay.
Laura.
Let me know. I can put the link in the chat, I think. Hold
Oh,
on.
I pulled it up in an email,
Okay,
so I
great.
should be able to go.
Yeah, you should be able to just come in and then I'll let you in and then you can get off the iPad.
Yeah.
Let's try it. Okay, there it goes.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let me make sure all my other stuff is closed on the
Yeah, that's
phone.
fine. Yeah. And see, it's sounding okay right this second, but maybe the Wi-Fi for whatever reason is, you know.
I bet you.
Oh, you know what? Did you
Come
close
on.
it? Are you there or on that
No, I
one?
don't think. Let me try again. Hold on. I'll start over.
Okay, that's fine.
I might have closed the main Zoom.
That's fine. They can cut all this out. It's not a
So
big
you
deal.
don't do Ruby Ribbon anymore either, just out of curiosity.
I do it. Everything's open. I just am not promoting it. I'm just not working the businesses because it's just too much for me right
Gotcha.
now.
I hear you.
I'm doing the podcast full time.
Okay, here it
So
comes. Here it comes.
here it comes. Okay. Okay, it says you're connecting to audio. Okay.
Can you see me now?
I can see you. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and that's just fine. And then yeah, as long as we can hear you, that's, the video is the least of my worries, that's not a big
Right,
deal.
right. Yeah.
But just whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and I can hear you fine. So can you turn off your iPad or can I remove you? I'm going to remove
Yeah, you can remove that one.
you.
Yep.
Okay.
I've turned it off though. It should have went off.
What happened? Oh,
Hold on.
I'm not going to report it. I'm like, I don't need to report it.
Okay.
It's funny because it says to, like, I could email you to say why I removed you, but that's not a big deal. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Jeez Louise. Okay. So, okay, let's see. We were talking about meth.
Yeah.
All
So
right. So
drug
let's
was
get back to
that
that.
was my drug of choice was meth.
Okay.
Um, and it made you feel better. It made you. I didn't think about whatever was going on in my life, the pain. It was usually pain, something to do with pain, losing somebody.
Yes.
Not feeling good enough was a huge part of it. And I hate saying that out loud because I feel like it makes me vulnerable. Like
Right.
people, will come at me and be like, oh, come at me in a way where I'm not good enough, like as in my mother. But I'm a lot stronger than that. I can fight that urge to not think I'm good. I think
Well,
I'm not good.
a lot of us struggle with that, and so I know that's going to resonate with a lot of people. And the thing is that I think where we can show growth, like you're saying, is
Mhm.
that even if you felt that way, okay, even if somebody said something to you, even if you felt that way, you recover faster, right? You recover from,
Absolutely.
yeah, you're recovering from that, insult or whatever faster um, because we're healing or whatever. So that's the thing is we may still have those feelings. I feel like, I
Absolutely.
mean that's going to resonate with a lot of people. A lot of people feel like they're not good enough or that they weren't given those positive reinforcements growing up. Our parents, I don't know, my parents didn't grow up in a time where their parents were telling them how to be
Yeah,
good, be
exactly.
good parents or
Exactly.
whatever. Tell your children they're great. My parents grew up in a time the same thing. Kids should be seen and not heard,
And
that kind
not
of thing.
hurt in everything you do.
Yeah.
Um, and like I teach my kids now, even my grandkids, it's okay, you can cry. Grandma would cry too, it's okay, I'd
Yeah.
cry too if it were me, because I want them to know that it's okay to have feelings. I
Yes.
want them, are you mad at me? That's fine, you could be mad at me, but I still love you. Those types of things. I mean, I'm not the perfect mom. They had to see me, be in addiction and stuff like that. But
Yes.
I still tried to teach them those other things, and hopefully they won't have to grow up and think that they weren't good enough for me, or you know what I mean.
Yes, exactly.
So
And the other thing too is that isn't there such a nice freedom? Doesn't it feel good to have, those conversations with your kids and be apologize and then also be able to make up for some of that with grandkids? I look forward to
oh
that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yes, grandkids is the best because they love you the way you are. They think you're the know all, the be all, the do all. They think you're
Yes.
Superwoman, Superman, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And maybe I wasn't the greatest mother, but at least I can show my grandchildren, in front of their mother that, I am an amazing grandma.
Yeah.
That maybe I wasn't as bad as, like my daughter hated me for years,
Yeah.
as an adult. And, she's starting to see that I'm not as bad as, she portrayed me in her own head, you
Right.
know, um,
And have you
that
had
not
those times to talk or apologize or any of those things?
I
Have you had?
have,
Okay.
there was
Yeah.
a couple times where she's like, man, holding it against me. And I was like, look, I've already apologized to you once, and I told you I was never going to do it again. I said,
Yeah.
but this is it. This is the last time I'm going to apologize. And if you can't accept it, then that is on you. Because
Right.
I'm not going to live with that guilt and shame anymore. I shouldn't have to because I've
Yeah.
moved on from my past. I've had to deal with that pain. I've had to deal with that that shame,
The
that
shame.
guilt.
Yeah.
That's a
Uh-huh.
lot. That's a lot to deal with because you are harder on yourself than anybody else in everything that you do.
Yeah.
You know, um, never being good enough.
Yeah.
I meant to be the best mom in the whole wide world, and I just wasn't. I
Right.
wasn't given the tools either,
No.
and I don't think I gave my daughter the tools, but I'm gonna keep moving forward no matter what and give them the best of me that I can now,
And keep
you
trying.
know?
That's all you can
Yeah,
do. Well, and
yeah.
two, especially when you yourself, and it doesn't matter, I feel like there's still things that I'm working on thinking about from my childhood. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have had that. And so that needs to heal, right? Those kinds of
Mhm.
things. When you think about
Absolutely.
you just wanted your mommy, let's be honest. That's
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
you had said, I just wanted my mommy, and that's just the end of the story. And so that's something that we need to look at that. As painful as it is, we need to look at it
absolutely.
and acknowledge it because it's hard. And so anyway, so to keep moving forward with that, that's really good. So that
It took me
I'm glad you're able to do that.
It took me many times through treatment and
Yeah.
many, many, many times in recovery. I don't remember who said it, but it says um, recovery is easy or whatever. Quitting is easy. I know because I've done it 1,000 times.
Yes.
And I have. It feels like 1,000 times. It really
Yeah.
does. My relationships. I was married to a man who beat the crap out of me.
Yeah.
You know, that was hard to come. Because he was like, "You're a pig. You're a fat pig. No wonder your mom didn't love you." And he
Oh,
had in his mind, he had every right to hit me. Like he thought I was cheating on him.
right.
And, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed at home and took care. We lived we lived in Washington near a naval base, and I babysat Navy kids. When I
Mhm.
did get a job, outside the home, it was, painting windows for this woman, advertisements on windows, large windows out in Washington.
Mhm.
And then I finally decided I wanted to apply for a CNA. Well, he didn't like that at all, but I was like, no, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting.
Wow.
And at that time, I had that job long enough. He beat me so hard that I had to leave, and I was so scared. I got up and went to work the next day because it didn't matter where I was. Didn't matter, what I was doing. I could be in the shower and he'd, tack me there.
Wow.
And I had to leave that situation, and I was scared. I was scared for anybody to know that this man beat me,
Right.
like I deserved it or something. And I can't believe I'm getting teary eyed, but
That's okay.
um, but he wanted, after it was like a Labor Day weekend or something like that. Memorial Day weekend is what it was. And I left work, and I always had Sundays and Mondays off. Well, I took a Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday off,
Mhm.
just out of the blue and told him I couldn't make it. And he stalked my work. He sent me roses to work. He called and called and called. Back in the day,
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
didn't have cell phones.
Right. Right.
I was scared to death. I mean, he even stalked me to the point where he saw me driving a friend's car and I had to ditch him. I don't know how I ditched him, but I did, because I was scared of him. I was that scared. Like
Oh my gosh.
the what he did to me, like I had nightmares. Like I literally would lay down in bed after going through and making sure everything was locked, the windows were closed, everything. I'd go to lay down, I'd sit back up and go, "Oh my God, but did I get that door?" And I'd have to go over and do it. I don't know how many times I would do that at night. And then I'd lay back down and I'd wake up with nightmares and tears, from
Yeah.
the nightmares. And I'd have to look around like, is that real? Is that real? Just bawling my
Right.
eyes out.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and then I finally moved to Minnesota to get away from him, to go back and try to have a relationship with my mother. And only for her husband to, after I moved back to South Dakota, only to find out while we were there, he had molested my daughter also.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I just can't believe the things that she did to. She came down to be close to me to manipulate me basically into this
Mhm.
relationship and to find out basically if because we I didn't have a car or a reliable car to make it from Sioux Falls to the cities
Mhm.
up in Minnesota, at that time. And she just basically wanted to make sure that we wouldn't make it to court. And then she
Wow.
went back to him. She pretended to leave him only to go back to him.
Who
You
was
know,
who was that? I'm sorry, I missed that part. Who was that?
my mother with her
Oh my
husband.
gosh. Are you serious?
Yes. So, yeah. And she was a sweet woman. She had the sweetest voice and just da 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 da, and people loved her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People loved her and everybody doubted me because you know what? I'm the child, so
Yes.
to speak. Yeah,
Well,
it
and
was
that's the hard part is that there is a facade that many abusers will use in public. And then with a
Mhm.
child, of course, even though if you're an adult, it doesn't matter, if you're even with a child, it's hard because it's like, how could you with your mother? Or look at your mother, she's so kind, but it's like, well,
Oh,
you don't.
in our culture, you respect your elders,
Oh, okay.
period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another thing I learned in life too, is that I can respect my elders, but my elders need to respect me too.
Yes. And
You know,
there's a difference. There's a difference between respecting them, but not allowing abuse, not
right,
allowing
right.
things that are wrong. There's got to be a difference. There's got to be a change in there. That's really
I
scary.
can now. I can now because of all the treatments I've been through.
Yes.
I learned to set boundaries, and people, once you start setting boundaries, that's when people really want to overstep them.
Yes.
Continuously. They will. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've known them, family, friends, whatever.
Yeah.
If they've always overstepped your boundaries, they're going to want to continue to overstep your boundaries. And even more so when you tell them, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this.
Right.
Um, takes a lot of standing your ground. I don't know where that came from, me standing my ground, but
Yeah.
I did.
You just finally got
Um,
to the point where you were like, I'm done. It's
I
enough,
am done. Relationships, boyfriends, whatever, like my fiance now, like communication, that
Yeah.
wasn't easy for me either. And it wasn't easy for him, but we did it.
Yeah.
I set my ground and, I'd say things like, well, I shouldn't have, but we had an issue one time with him being out all night. And
Yeah.
I was like, look, if you want to go out and party and act like you're single, you can be single. I'm just letting you know it's your decision, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and you know what? We're still together,
Right.
you know, because I
Well, but
let
you
him
have
make
a
that decision.
discussion. You're having the discussion.
Yes, yes,
And the thing that's good, I think the thing that's good is that if you said that to him and he says, "Okay, I'm out." Okay, great, because you know what? You don't need that, especially when you decide I'm worthy enough to make the Oh, oh, you muted yourself. You're muted. You Hold on.
I'm muted.
You were muted.
I didn't touch my phone.
I know. I don't know what happened. That's so weird. Okay, so I don't know okay. So what I was saying was, if you set a boundary with somebody and then they say, "Well, fine, forget it, I'm out of here," or whatever. Okay, well then
Right,
that's probably for the best, especially when you decide that these are the things I need. Um and you're looking at your self-worth, your value, and you're saying,
right,
this is what I need for myself. I know that the
right.
people that have been um getting the most out of you not having boundaries
Hmm.
are the people who are going to have the most problems with you setting boundaries. And so
Exactly.
everyone should be aware of that. It will get worse before it gets better, but
Oh,
it will
definitely,
get
definitely.
better. It will get
Yeah, be
better.
prepared to fight, not physically, but
Right.
basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they will go and they'll push and push because you've always let them before. So why aren't
Right.
you gonna now? You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
It took all those different times in recovery. Like, I was told one time, take that big black garbage bag that you carry with you and dump it. And I did it in prison. And a lot, girls in my group hated me, you know, and not all of them, but some would
Yeah.
be like, "Ugh, Monica's talking again." You know what? You could say what you want to say to make these people happy, but I need more than that for myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to have to be in prison to do it, then I guess that's what it's going to take. You know what I mean? Like I've learned, by this time I learned quite a few things, in different treatments, wherever it
Yeah.
was, the cat's driving me nuts.
That's
But
okay. That's okay. The cat can be in the I know
he likes to be
the
like, come
kid
on, pet me,
I know
and I'm
the
like, I'm
kitty's right in
busy.
her the poor kitty's right in her face. That's okay. It's not affecting the audio. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like where I'm at now, like be honest with me. If you can't be honest with me, then,
Yes.
I'm gonna, like I have friends that lie to me. They're habitual liars or whatever it is that I do,
Yeah.
and I know this because we've been friends for years, or I haven't, uh, a relative, she is, constantly lying, I'm
Yeah.
just like, why do people gotta lie? But whatever, that's my family, that's my friend. I love you, where you are. I don't agree with everything that everybody
Right.
does, but because of everything I've been through life, all I wanted I was to be loved. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't know that it would take for me to love me first before could experience love outside of that. But if I give what I give, unconditional love,
Right.
I'm more than likely to receive it back.
Right.
Like I said, I had to learn to love myself, and that wasn't easy either because that's why I was in addiction. I wasn't good enough. I didn't know how to love myself.
Right.
I didn't know how to love anybody except for my kids. And did I really? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So let me ask you, what kinds of things did you do to work on learning how to love yourself?
Okay, well, this is it. I am good enough, and I had to say that to myself, even though I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I had to pray to God that I no longer believed in, even though I grew up in church.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing they teach you in recovery. Um, and I had to go off and be alone. This last time, I didn't go to treatment or anything, but when we moved up to Minnesota, I knew that I needed to be alone and to work on myself.
Wow.
Somehow, somewhere, somebody, maybe it was God, I don't
Yeah.
know, saying, you need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And although I had my son, but when I came up here, I was so deep in my addiction. I hated myself. I hated my life. All I wanted to do was die.
Yeah.
Maybe that next batch of dope would do me in because
Yeah.
I'm being vulnerable, very open here. I was an
Yes.
IV user,
Hmm.
so I was hoping that next one would be the one,
Yeah.
and I would get so mad and so depressed when I'd wake up and be like, God, I just want to go home because my uncle, when he died,
Yeah.
that's when I really lost it for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go home like him. You know what I mean? Like, God, why can't you take me? Why can't you take me?
Right.
And
But you just want to be done with the
yeah,
pain.
just done. Yeah, with all of it. I was tired of it. Mike and I were separated, my fiance now. He left me for because of my addiction, because I couldn't let go. I didn't know how to let go.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying, Monica, you need help. And even if they did, would I have wanted it?
Right.
The people that did, I was like, hey man, I'm just smoking it like you smoke weed because that was partially the truth.
Yeah.
Um, so just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I couldn't live life. I couldn't stand the thought of facing life without being high,
Right.
period.
Right.
My uncle was gone and I didn't know how to cope. I did not know how to cope,
Right.
you know. But then my daughter and I, we had during this time, when I had moved up here, we didn't have a relationship. She cut me off.
Hmm.
And then I ran into her and then she let me back into my grandson's life. He meant everything to me. He was just so little and he
No.
loved me so much. Um, and she invited me to her church. Well, while we were at her church, she said the people wanted to pray for me, and I was so mad at her because I'm like, how dare you tell these people my stuff? It's nobody's business. Well, you know what? Those were the best prayers ever in my whole life. I just didn't know it at the
Oh.
time.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
we had a
I
conversation.
wanna comment on that because, you know, um, being in church myself, it's really hard to be vulnerable, but I find it kind of nice when you don't know the people,
Oh,
right?
very
And they
true. I did
wanna
not know them.
and they wanna pray for you. I don't know. Sometimes if I don't know, it's hard. Vulnerability is the key that I am learning from everything because
Right, right.
when we're vulnerable, we can really get into the good stuff. That's for sure.
That's true, but all my life being vulnerable meant that people would be able to get to me easier.
Oh, yes, for sure.
You know
Oh,
what I
that
mean?
oh,
Like,
for
you
sure.
know,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And they still can a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but they
Of
catch me
course.
off guard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I have more people in my life now that care about me and
Yeah.
positive people, even
Yes.
local people that I'm not really friends with,
Yeah.
they still are supportive and
Yes.
caring and, cheer me on just like anybody else. The only people I swear don't um, cheer me on are my elders. I have two elder aunts who do not cheer me on. They'd rather backstab and connive
Right.
and lie and,
Well,
whatever.
not everyone is going to be cheering for you and your
No,
success and whatever success
no,
looks like. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
but but that's why you got to hold on to those people in the community. I know I see
Absolutely.
I see your Facebook posts when something good happens, you post about it. And I love that because even in the little things, right? The little thing you posted this morning,
Absolutely.
and I don't need to share what it was because it doesn't matter, but you posted
Right.
a little thing. And I was like, I bet you just felt like you were on cloud nine because
I did.
someone did something small for Monica, which ended up it's really a big thing. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing.
Yes.
We have to go.
Huge
That's why
thing.
I know you go. It's making me tear up because I know, I know
So
that
that's okay.
because little things like that mean a lot. To
They do.
when you tell somebody you care about them. I'm not really sure why I'm crying,
Yeah. That's okay.
but it means a lot.
Yeah, well, you should, and then I text him, after I got my phone back to me because I left my phone home that day. But
Okay,
I text him, I said, "Thank you so much for, I've
for
got the tip.
doing
Thank
that.
you."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what he said after that, I about cried then too because I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my God, that means so much to me." Like, for one thing, your bosses don't have to say thank you. And like I
No,
said, I don't
no.
I don't need a pat on the back for everything I do, but it's nice to know. It feels so good to know that I'm seen and not just
I'm
there,
so glad you said that. I was just about to say that. I think that's why I was crying, is because you were seen and
Yes.
he saw you. He made an effort to say, Monica, you're doing a good job. And then he
Yes.
said kind words to you. And okay, look, that takes vulnerability on his side. Okay.
Yeah,
That
right.
person who did that for you. But that's exactly the word that I was getting was you were
Yes.
seen. Oh my gosh. And that's why. And listen, this is why I wanted to do what I'm doing. There's a lot of women who aren't seen, who aren't heard, who don't know that there's people sitting in addiction in the mess like you are. And you've said many times, I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that. It's like we're all still in the middle of the mess. No one arrives anywhere. Okay, no one has
Right.
arrived anywhere.
Right.
We're
Right.
s- we're all still just trying to figure this thing called life out every
Right,
day.
right. Yes, exactly. Like, my biggest thing is like, I took this pain and I turned it into power. I made it a purpose.
I
There's a
love that.
purpose in my life, regardless if I do or don't. After my daughter prayed for me, I said one day, I said, I could just trying to get back to the old me. And she said, Mom, why do you want to get back to the old you? Why don't you become a new, improved you? And
Wow,
bam, that hit my heart like something fierce. And
that's amazing.
I was, yeah, I was like, I was all alone up here in Minnesota, just me and my son.
Yeah,
I could still get dope because I had a boyfriend and had a car and da da da. But I wanted to give it up. And it was hard, even then, even after the prayers and even after she said that, I
of
still
course.
tried.
Yep,
But that addict in me was like, hey, go get, you'll feel better. The devil will lie, with
yeah,
that song, Fear the Liar. That is so true. But eventually I did. And I remember waking up that day and it was a winter morning. It was cold and we lived upstairs in but when it's cold out like that and the sun is so bright, I mean, so bright, like I
yeah.
can't even explain. It's only happened twice in my life. And I told my son to come and turn on the radio because I'd already been up all night. He's coming to use the bathroom. And I was like, change the station because I remembered it was on a Christian station.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, no, 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 don't do that. And he left it on. Well, the song that was playing was was resonating with me. And I was like, it's called Shattered. And I
Yeah.
meant to look up their name, but I forgot.
Okay.
And
And when we post it, we'll put it in the show notes because you said
yes.
fear is a liar is the other one, right? That
Mhm.
song is unbelievable. I love that song. And then
Yes.
Shattered. We'll do both of them. We'll throw them in the show notes for people who want to hear the songs because they're really
Okay.
good.
Yeah. And that's not the first time God's ever talked to me through music.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't get to hear the whole song, so I Googled it and it came up on YouTube and I cried. I cried. So then I went to the bathroom. Okay, I'm gonna be totally because
Yep.
it makes a point. So I
Yep.
go to the bathroom and I got my pants down to my knees and I'm listening to this song and the next song comes on and it was I Can Only Imagine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And then another song came on, Hello, My Name Is.
Yes.
And I was like, I put my hand up in the air and I said, with my pants down on my knees,
That's
going number
hilarious.
two, I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget from that moment on, it was still a struggle. Um, but I was like, I hear you. Because I know that God, every time I heard those songs that I mentioned in
Yeah.
the past, they were songs that hit hit home basically,
Yes. Yes.
and I would recover again
Yes.
for another period of time, you know. And I always, you know, every time I recovered, I wanted to recover for good. I just never did, you know.
Right.
I had to grow and I had to deal with the pain. You know, I had to fight for myself. You know, I had to learn how to love myself, you know, and I had to learn how to accept people the way they are, to that unconditional love that my uncle taught me, you know. When he taught me that, that was like one of the best things ever. So, you know, imagine him dying and him being gone. Like he taught me
Yeah.
how to do everything in life except for how to live without him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but now I am living without him and I
Yeah.
am making him proud. I am, you know, I'm
That's
making
so
me proud
awesome.
because I had to work
Right.
hard to get here. And anybody that ever tries to take that away from me, uh, I don't know what to say about that, you know, not to be
Right.
negative or no, I don't want it to think like, you know, I'm good, but you know, they're not
Yeah.
going to win. To put it that way,
No.
that's a good way to put it. They're not going to win. You
No.
know, I've cut family off, you know, as much as I love family because that's how my uncle raised us. They're
Yes.
really not my family, you know, or a cousin I've had to cut off until she sobered up. Then, you know, call me when you sober up because you know, I don't have time to deal with your drama. And I did for a long time because I love her. She's my
Right.
favorite cousin, you know, but
Right.
you got to deal with your own life. It's okay to be there for other people. So, you know, sometimes, you know, I find myself getting out of my own head when I talk to other people or help other people.
Yeah.
And getting out of your own head means that's a huge thing for an addict. You know, if I say, like, even smoking, God, I really want a cigarette, then it's out of my head. You know, if
Yeah.
somebody says, "Hey, I'm struggling today," guess what? I'm out of my own head. You know,
Yeah.
they've probably
Yeah.
helped me just as much as I've helped them. Those kinds of things, you know, being
Yeah.
there for other people is a huge thing, but I'm not going to um, you know, give up myself, you know, so much of myself that I
Yes.
don't have time for me, you know, which I've done in life, you know.
There's a really fine line. I've heard a lot of people saying, it's great to volunteer, do things for others, but then we can also go a little too far where we're no longer looking at ourselves and we're almost like getting busy so that we don't have
Mhm.
to deal with our pain. So,
Right,
there's a fine line in there. I think
right.
there's a
It,
balance. There's a good balance in there.
absolutely, you know, because our pain's never going to go away. You know, when somebody their mother passed away and they started drinking again, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's wonderful. You know, that's a bummer. You're gonna, you know, you started drinking. I said, but guess what? That's not gonna take the pain away, and it's not gonna make her come back.
Yeah.
And that's something that I wished that somebody had told me.
Right.
It's not going to take that pain away because it doesn't. I've done it. I've done it thousands and thousands and
Right.
thousands of times. You know, I
Right.
wanted to die at the end of my addiction. That didn't happen either. So it's
Yeah.
not going to go away. You know,
Yeah.
deal with it as you can, as you can. You don't have to, you know, dump that big black garbage bag on yourself, but deal with it. You know, stop
Yeah.
worrying about what everybody, you know, let's just say treatment or, you know, and some people, you know, there's people that are court ordered and there's people that want to go to AA or
Yes.
NA or treatment
Yes.
or whatever. Stop worrying about those people because in the end, you'll never see them again. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And if you do, you know what I mean? Who cares? You
Right.
know, that's what I had to do is not worry about other people. And that's hard to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, growing up native, for one thing, you know, oh, you're an Indian, haha, you know, stuff like that. I did
Yeah.
worry about what other people thought. You know, I didn't have the clothes and the shoes that everybody else had in high school. You know, I had the big boobs, and that's about, you know, about all I had. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so I wasn't Miss Popular, and you know that affected me then, but it doesn't affect me now. I don't care about being popular. What I care about is me loving me, me liking me. That's more important to me. You know,
Right.
I always tell people God did not create me to be perfect, and that's where it started. That's where it started. I don't have to be perfect, which
Yes.
meant I don't have to be good enough for anybody
Right.
because God did not create me to be perfect. So that's where I am. You know, if I could tell anybody anything, God didn't create you to be perfect, and remember that.
Yes.
For me, that helped me grow in who I am. You know,
Yes.
I am. I mean, I'm no Barbie. I don't have no Barbie body. I don't have, you know, perfect teeth or perfect anything. I do not look like a doll. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm comfortable with who I am. You know,
Yeah.
if I lose weight, great. If I don't, fine. You know,
Right.
just take care of yourself better, even like breast cancer, that taught me I needed to learn how to slow down in life. And I do more now. I do the things that I need to do to take care of me first and everybody else around me, that, my family, my kids, my
Yeah.
home, um, is alongside that. But I have to come first. I have to set boundaries, even here at home. Like, you guys need to pick up after yourselves. I'm going
Right.
around in circles here, da da da, you know, and they don't like it, but it is what it is. Like,
It's
do you want a
amazing.
sober woman, or do you want, I don't ever want to be that woman again. I could tell you that right now. I never want to
Right.
be her. And, in one of the, and Hello, My Name Is by Matthew West, there's a
Yes.
story to the music.
Yep.
And that's my favorite way to listen to that song, is the story, because up in there it says, you never have to go back there again.
Yeah.
And you don't. And that's powerful too, because you never have to go back there again. It's a choice in the end. But remember, you don't have to. You don't have to feel miserable and full of shame and full of guilt and not good enough and, like you're nothing. You don't ever have
Yeah.
to feel like that again. And
It's
that's
so
powerful.
true. It's
Hmm.
so true. Someone was saying that, and I've heard this a couple of times since then, that, the voices in our head a lot of times were put there by somebody else,
Hmm.
that not being good enough, that was taught to you from a young age, right?
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so sometimes our inner critic is actually the voice of somebody else who was telling us those things. And we just went along with it and said, yeah, this must be it, and so working on yourself, I just love that. I know that's what it took for me. I finally was like, I'm sick of myself, and I started working on what does it look like to love me, not be
Right.
conceited, not think I'm better than others, but what does it look like to love me and to be a better person in this world,
Right.
so
And that's
that's what.
something I deal with every day. Like, you know, um, I don't know, it's just something I deal with every day, just to love myself the way I am.
Yeah.
And it shows, you know what I mean? And
Right.
maybe that comes off as being egotistical or
No.
whatever, that conceited. That's not my point. My
No.
point is, like, just feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
I see lots of women that do, and but I see a lot more women that don't.
Yes.
Like, like, yes, you grew up in and these things happen to you and that happened to you, but doesn't have to keep happening to you. You can change it. You can stop it right now,
Right.
leave it in the past and move on.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is we have to look at our future. That's why they say
Mm,
the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror.
yep,
We have to
absolutely.
keep moving forward, and not keep moving forward in denial that these things happen to us. But how can we talk about them in counseling or church or whatever it is, however you need to get. I believe in all different kinds of, you know, um, therapies and whatever,
Hmm.
there's so many options out there. So, just research what you think would be of interest, and then just keep looking for a way to help, because
Right.
there's no reason to walk another moment in misery.
Absolutely.
Monica,
No, no way.
is there anything else that you wanted to share with us today? I'm so thankful for everything you shared with us today.
Not that I can think of, but
Me either.
that treatment thing,
Yeah.
everybody's always like, 'cause like I said, there's people that are court ordered to do treatment, and there's other people
Yes.
that
Yes.
really want to go but don't know how to, you know, just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it, because you don't have to take everything that they say in there. Just
Right.
take what you can, what
Take what
resonates with you.
take what
Yeah,
you need and leave the
and leave the
rest.
rest.
This
Yep,
is what
that's
I've
exactly
always
what they
heard.
say.
Take what you need and leave the rest. And I also will have an episode out, and I don't know what order your episode will be, or her episode, but I have
Hmm.
a on alcohol use disorder. She's going to talk about her journey and what her
Hmm.
treatment was. And so there's resources out there. You and I are providing some resources. There's other resources in the world, but then I do have an episode, and when I know what it is, we'll stick it in the show notes, but I don't know what episode it will be. But yeah, that was a very interesting thing too. I've enjoyed having addiction in our family. I haven't enjoyed that, but I've enjoyed talking to other people, because I see the help they've gotten and the things that have helped them, and I know that there's help for people out there. So,
Yeah, therapy is another good thing.
oh gosh,
I don't
yes,
feel like I need it as much as I did then, but I
yes,
still do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Me
because
too.
maybe that's just something I think, it might not even be true, but
Right.
I do it because it does help me. What if the week that I go, I'm having a really rough week, I can cry my eyes out,
Yes, in a
So
safe
therapy is
place. And oh,
important.
I'm telling you, I just
Mhm.
do it once a month. And it's so funny. I always think, what am I even going to talk about? And we always have something to talk about. And that's the
Yeah,
thing
it
is,
lasts that hour or 45 minutes. It just depends, but
yes,
yeah, it's
it's
amazing.
really a safe place. And of course, like talking to all you guys, I've been having therapy every time I get on this Zoom calls with you
Yeah, yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I appreciate it so much. I know that so many things are going to resonate with people. Thank you for sharing how
Yes,
you've just
yes.
come out of the dark into the light. I'm so glad to know that where you're at right now on your journey is going well. I appreciate that so
Yes,
much.
yes.
And so we will have information in the show notes for
Okay.
anything for anyone that that any resources you and I talked about. If there's anything that Monica has that's personal that she would like to provide, any websites or anything, I will have all that stuff in the show notes. But
Okay. Okay.
Monica, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Don't go anywhere.
Okay. Mm.